Assalamu alaikum. So this is part 8. I am directing this at the general community, okay, at the board members, at the imams, okay, so this is for everybody to pay attention to. So I ended up in the last segment and I was explaining the culture of Quasi-Islam and how deceptive that is. And the thing is that when you are in that environment, okay, you will think that you're doing Islam and the people around you are good Muslims, okay, and that's why it's so extremely deceptive, because there are bits of and pieces of Islam there, but overall you're not doing Islam. You have actually destroyed some of the most important things in Islam. Sorry, my cat is clawing at something. Okay, so now I'm going to extend on this quasi-Islam and show you, I'm going to show you how it extends. Okay, so right at the beginning, right at the foundation of your community, you departed Islam. Okay, Islam is founded on amal, which means work. And a masjid in Islam, in actual Islam, is a place, okay, to organize the work required to fulfill the objectives and the mission, the priorities of Deen. Okay? And that's not where you are. And that's not what you're doing. But now, what did the masjid do, and what are the imams doing? I said it in 2 sessions. Qala Allah Ta'ala, blah, 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 blah. Qala Rasulullah, blah, 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 blah. And so you made the focus of the masjid, the quasi-masjid, about talk. And it's about the person giving the talk and the personality, okay? And then because old talk gets worn out and boring, so now we have to have people invent new talk, and let's have another talk. And then let's bring somebody from out of town so they can talk. And let's bring somebody from overseas and they can give us a big talk. And so you perpetuate, and this has been going on for 50 years. And you're destroying Islam. Okay, this isn't Islam. Okay? And then because actual Islam isn't being done, then you've got all these fires burning in the community. Okay? All these problems, all these issues. Okay? And so much of that would be solved if you would do Islam. And if you had been doing Islam. But now you have what I call scatter. Okay, so it's not just the extension of talk that so many Muslims now, for years have been calling it Islamotainment. Okay, like an Islamic amusement industry of who can we bring to give us a really nice talk. Okay, but you also then you scattered the community, and you've got all these outside little startup groups and little startup projects, most of them trying to solve, one problem or another, when that problem should have been solved from the masjid if the masjid and the imam and the Muslims in the masjid had ever been doing Islam. Okay? And scatter does not help. Scatter causes more problems. It's inefficient. You have people taking on, overhead costs to open up a space somewhere, or, hiring people or raising money, this and that, outside the masjid, okay? And then you have another group that's maybe doing something very similar, and they should be, sharing their effort and resources. But Muslims are scattered out now in 1,000 different directions, when in reality, in actual Islam, okay, and you can think about this the rest of your life, and if you ever find anything more important than these three emergencies, then come and tell me. But right now, Islamically speaking, there are three emergencies, and if you just ask yourself, what would Rasulullah ﷺ be doing if he is here among us? What would he be focusing on and working on? Or any of the Sahaba, if they were here, what would they be doing? To me, it's very simple. You've got three emergencies. Each one of these things is in an emergency condition. Number one is the converts. And that is the original mission. That is what Muslims were supposed to have come here for. And because it has been completely neglected, your community lost the vast majority of converts. You've got converts in pain and suffering. You've got converts having our lives destroyed. Okay? You don't build Islam like that. Okay? I explained in a previous session that mission was the mission of Rasulullah's life. That mission is where Islam began. It's where Islam comes from. And that Allah has connected His nusrah, His help, and His ridda, okay? His pleasure with that effort, okay? And it is in a state of emergency, because when a convert comes into the community and we lose relationships and we lose, it's like our way of looking at the world has been drastically unsettled, and we have to spend a lot of time rebuilding a worldview, okay? But the community is a disaster. Like I said, Muslims are useless. The masjid is useless. The imam is useless, and you've got this convert going through all this alone. That is an emergency. A human being alone is an emergency. And that is the mission of dawah. It is not just giving people Islamic information. 99% of the mission of dawah is about what happens to the convert after we became Muslims. Okay? And I talked about that. That's why Rasulullah established the Medina community. Okay? The second emergency is youth and young Muslims who have been disaffected from the masajid, from the community, by the chaos and the ignorant mentality of what they've seen in the preceding decades. Okay? Well, youth are the future of Islam, like the converts. So that is an emergency. And then the third emergency is you. Your deen is in emergency, okay? Because you're not on Islam. And so the third emergency really is just like the general condition of all the Muslims. And the status quo cannot stay. You are a failure of Islam. You and your masjid and your community have committed massive crimes that you will see written in your book, Yom Al-Qiyamah. My dear brother, my dear sister, my dear imam, my dear board member, okay, your Islam is in an emergency because, as I've explained, you are off the rails of Islam. You are not doing Islam. And the habits, day after day, year after year, decade after decade, okay, you have destroyed extremely important things in the deen. And the way you do things now, you will just continue until you go to your grave. And then when you're standing in front of Allah, then you find out, oh my God, I failed. Okay? You are in an emergency. Okay, so that's the end of this session. Jazakumullah khair.